Hello everyone, this is Richard from Modern Healthspan. There have been some developments in the fight over whether NMN can be sold as a supplement or is a drug. Firstly, the FDA intercepted a shipment of NMN into the US in July. And secondly, the Natural Products Association, or NPA, has issued a new lawsuit against the FDA on the status of NMN. In this video, I will give an update on where we are now. A lot of the information came from the NPA article, which I have linked in the description. A quick review of the history, as it has been a while since this all started. We have covered this topic before in more detail, and I have linked to the video for that above. One of the rules of Deshaies of the law governing supplements and drugs is that a substance can either be one or the other, but not both. Based on this, in December 2021, Metro Biotech, a company founded by Dr. DavidSinclair, wrote to the FDA saying that they were investigating NMN as a drug and that it should not be allowed to be sold as a supplement. NMN was approved as generally regarded as safe in 2018 by the FDA and approved as a new dietary ingredient in 2022, which formally accepted that it could be sold as a supplement. However, later that year, they reversed this. After this ruling, many of the large retail outlets, such as Amazon, removed NMN from their stores. However, the FDA did not take steps to implement the ban by, for example, sending cease and desist letters to manufacturers or blocking the imports. In March 2023, the NPA, an industry group which includes supplement suppliers, issued a petition to the FDA requesting that they reevaluate the position and allow NMN as a supplement. The FDA, by law, had 180 days to respond to the petition, which is by September the 7th. On this day, they responded and they said they had not reached a decision. In November last year, Metro Biotech followed up with another letter arguing against the petition. So far, the FDA had seemed to not take any action on the ruling that it had made. However, on August the 13th, they issued a notice of action to an NPA member about an inbound shipment of 5 kilograms of NMN, which was specifically about the ruling of NMN as a new drug application. The FDA sends out notice of action when they believe that a rule has been violated. The supplier whose NMN was blocked was not named. There is an appeal process, but if this was followed, there was no word on its outcome. The NPA lawsuit is not directly related to this action, but it may have been part of the cause. On August the 27th, the NPA filed a complaint against the FDA and the Health and Human Services. The primary request was for NMN to be declared as not excluded from being a dietary supplement. This would also impact Metro Biotech, of course. It is possible that the court may decide that the FDA has not taken final agency action, or that the NPA does not have standing to bring a case. My understanding of the first of these points is that until the FDA has issued a clear rule, it cannot be sued, as there is nothing to sue against. And the second is that the NPA has to show that the FDA action has brought some harm to its members for it to have a reason to sue. In terms of the harm, the NPA is quoting companies who have had business harmed because of the ruling and the uncertainty around enforcement of it. In the case that the suit is not allowed, an alternative ruling is requested to force the FDA to respond to the petition within 21 days. The original petition was an attempt to resolve the issue without going to the courts, but as the FDA did not respond to this in a meaningful way, the only option remaining is the legal challenge. Mr. Bell is one of the attorneys working for the NPA on the case. He notes that in the past, challenges to the FDA have been rare, but he sees it as possibly changing in the near future. Possibly something that is related to Mr. Bell's comments. There was a change in the relevant legal landscape in June this year. Since 1984, there has been a precedent in the US called the Chevron deference, which basically stated that if there was ambiguity in legislation related to government agencies, the court should defer to the interpretation by the agency in charge, unless Congress had explicitly spoken on the issue. However, In June, the Supreme Court overturned the Chevron case, and lower courts must exercise their independent judgment in case of ambiguity. This weakens the FDA position, as previously their interpretation would have been accepted, but now the court will decide for themselves. What will happen if NMN is declared a drug? My understanding is that it will become an investigational new drug and will not be available through any channels in the US until it's approved by the FDA as a drug, at which point it will be available by prescription from a doctor. When will this be? I cannot say, but it's worth looking at the trials that Metro Biotech is performing according to their video released in May this year. They are all in phase 2, which is quite early in the process, and these are the end dates for this phase, not the final approval. If they pass these trials, they may need phase 2B, but certainly a phase 3, which would probably add another 1 to 4 years. This graph is from a report looking at clinical trial success rates between 2011 and 2020. Cumulatively, the success rate from phase 2 to approval comes to about 15%. So it's certainly possible that NMN would not be approved, in which case I think this means it will remain an IND. Even if it is approved and you can persuade a doctor to prescribe it to you off-label, since Metro Biotech will be the only supplier, I assume it will be significantly more expensive than NMN is now. The outcome would therefore be that NMN is removed from the market for a number of years and may then become available later at a higher price with a prescription. Hopefully, some sensible arrangement can be reached where NMN is still available to customers at reasonable prices in the US. There is precedent for it having been done before with NAC, which was allowed as a drug, but the FDA said that they would use enforcement discretion and let it be available as a supplement as well. Interestingly, there are signs that the FDA is trying to change this now, but not sure in what way. However, the legal playing field may be more even now, so we can hope that we do have a better outcome. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you all well.